Annette Shaw, author A.R. Shaw with Apocalypse Queen Radio. We're improvising an interview with Russell Blake this afternoon. We've had some technical difficulties. It's not working the way we intended, but if you can go online and share the interview, you'll be able to see what we're trying to do. Anyway, so if you go to Apocalypse Queen Radio, you can click on the actual link to it and share it if it works, hopefully. If not, you'll be able to share this for longevity in the interim. Dang, I'm so sorry. So let's see, let me go back to my questions. And hold on just a second. Hi, Russell Blake, go ahead and talk to us. Tell us what you have going on today.
Well, I'm battling the flu, although the rumors of my demise are somewhat exaggerated. I'm glad to be on. Is this your first show?
No, this is several into my first show. People are logging in. We already have Jeffrey Daniels, Jimmy Kirby, and Davis Christopher Ryan. They all say that they're all on board and happy to be here. So keep talking. Can you guys hear Russell Blake?
3 of them.
I know, right? There's actually like 7 so far. So
Let's see, what have I got going on?
Can you hear him? Can someone please let me know if you can hear him? Okay, no, there's several people on already. Scott Payne says, hey, Annette. So go ahead.
And they can hear me?
Apparently they can. I don't know.
Well,
I hope.
Okay, and if not, it'll be an amazing 57 minutes of complete silence, which is also fun.
With just me miming stuff. Right. Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, and you're somewhere in Mexico, right?
I am somewhere in Mexico, where I have resided now for 16 years.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have no complaints, although I'm the minority here. I'm the gringo. But everyone's very nice.
I was born down there, the gringo, so there you go.
But were you really? Where?
Actually, McAllen, Texas. Close enough. 7 miles from the border.
No, right across the border.
Exactly. Yeah. I guess the guy who delivered me was the first man shot out of a helicopter during Vietnam. That was the person who delivered me. Yeah.
That's a colorful past. I don't have anything to raise you on that one.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know. That's what I was told. It's just like being told you were like born American Indian, but you find out you're Irish. Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah, which there's worse things to be than either American Indian or Irish. I'm actually half Irish and I'm half Hungarian.
Oh, okay.
Which makes me a superstitious drunk, I guess. Which is fine.
Yeah, same here. Jack says, Russell, man, you demand. Okay. So.
Well, so far so good. I'm considering that surgery.
Pam says that she can hear us.
Okay.
So speak loud and clear, because you're coming from my iPad to the camera.
Isn't technology wonderful?
It is. It's fantastic. So we had to improvise tonight. So speak loudly.
You've really arrived when basically YouTube and Facebook just won't show your streams anymore.
Right? Yep.
Until they shut you down, which this broadcast may accomplish. Actually.
It could. Yeah, it could happen. Yeah. So the reason I asked you on was I have to say that this is the Apocalypse Queen Radio is a copyrighted podcast for Authors on the Air Global Radio Network. So I said what I had to say. So the reason I asked you on was because of your series, and I'm so sorry, but the title is eluding me at the moment. That's horrible.
After never.
Thank you very much. Yeah, because that's why you're on here. So, and I actually read this book, the first book in the series, over a year ago. But you've finished the series. And
no, I'm still chipping away at it. I'm up to book 7, and I'll probably release book 8 before the end of the year.
Okay, good for you. That's fantastic. So
it's probably going to be about a 9-book arc unless something occurs to me and I continue it.
Okay. Wow, very cool. The one thing that came to mind was it's such a modern day Western.
Well, yeah, I mean, when I first started writing it, I mean, I had been looking into screenwriting because I'm not a screenwriter and I don't play one on TV and I know nothing about it. So pardon me, a friend of mine sent me a bunch of, what he considers to be some of the best scripts ever written. And one of them that I read was No Country for Old Men, which is a fantastic screenplay.
It is.
And I think that, I wanted to write something post-apocalyptic anyway. And I think No Country for Old Men just kind of put me in that Texas, hey, what would happen if all of these things collapsed, if society collapsed? But view it more from a sort of Southwestern centric view rather than the usual, I'm in a big city and I need to escape, or I'm in LA, or I'm in Pennsylvania. I want to do something that had more of a Southwestern flair. And it just kind of went down the Western road. I mean, I had no intention starting out to make it a Western or seem Western-y.
But it certainly does.
It flowed onto the page and I saw no reason to change it.
No, yeah, I think you did a great job. A couple of the lines that I totally picked out was, here's one. It was, 3 loco riders drive their horses hard towards the gun battle, drawn at first by the dust and then by the shooting. I mean, that's very much a Western.
That could be Zane Grey. But
exactly.
Think about it.
Yeah.
If all the gasoline is broken down,
and it will be in a month,
broken down,
yes,
and the roads are all clogged, so nothing will run.
Right.
How are you going to get around?
Exactly. Yeah, that's how I think.
So it'd have to be horses or something. I mean, if you're going to go any distance whatsoever, or bicycles.
Yeah, bicycles, but through Texas. Sorry, it's not going to happen.
Bicycles aren't going to do you a lot of good if you need to. If you're trying to travel, I don't know, 20, 30 miles a day, and if you're presumably calorie deprived,
right?
And further, presumably, don't want to get killed by someone, because on a bicycle you're not really.
And this takes place in South Texas, right? Yeah. So, you're not riding around on a bicycle. That's a vast country. Yeah, it's and so that's it just started out with, well, I guess they've got to have horses, but beyond that, I also started imagining a leading man, a protagonist that was sort of a hard-bitten, typical, I won't say Western hero, but I mean, Clint Eastwood certainly came to mind a couple of times while I was writing this. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So it kind of wrote itself, because, I was like, okay, well, what would a guy that was like a Clint Eastwood or a John Wick or, somebody that's a typical, I won't say alpha male hero, but he is an alpha male hero.
He certainly is.
Set down in the end of the world.
Right, definitely. Okay, so far we have 8 viewers, and Davis, Christopher, Ryan, if you could share this on your social media, let everyone know that we had to improvise. It's just a platform thing. But so, let everyone know that. Let's see, Pam Stack says, hi, Russell and A.R. Shaw, we can hear you. Thank you. Davis, Christopher says, good copy. Jeffrey Daniels says, yes, we can hear you. Okay, let me keep on going here. See if there's any questions. Please send your questions while we continue the interview. Okay, one of the other lines that I thought was pretty cool was this one. Lucas squinted through a pair of binoculars at a horizon distorted by the heat of a broiling West Texas sun and scanned the barren landscape. Greenish-brown scrub blemished the hillsides like tumors. A big bay stallion shifted beneath him with a shake of his head, and he leaned slowly forward and patted its neck for reassurance. Easy, Tango. I know it's been a long one. That is so very much a Western, very South Texas, and or very West Texas, I should say. And you're a fantastic writer. The fact that you said greenish brown scrub totally makes me know that you've seen this, you've been there, you've done this, the area.
Of course, the gratuitous tumor reference. I mean,
yeah.
Well, you sound surprised, as am I. Every time someone says you're a good writer, I'm like, are you sure you got the right guy on this?
You actually are a very good writer. Yeah, no, it puts you right there. And that's what I look for whenever I read, So, and I've been to West Texas. I know exactly what you're talking about. And yeah.
Well, I'm glad it resonated with you. I mean, again, I was after something that, was more Blood Meridian than The Road, I guess. But, I'm glad it flowed onto the page as it did.
It did.
And, it's been an amazingly popular series. I'd have to say it's my second most popular series now. After
Against Jet. Yeah, Against Jet. Yeah. No, you wrote that as kind of I try to describe it as a Mossad thriller. I mean, how do you describe it?
It's basically a female Bond.
Yeah, it really is a female Bond, right?
Female Bond meets Bourne. I mean, if you're pitching it to Hollywood, you need your one sentence elevator pitch, and you just have to say female Bourne with, Bond skills.
Yep, that's exactly what No, you're fine.
My throat's shot because of this flu. I've been battling it for about 4 days, so this is probably the first interview I've ever done.
Oh gosh.
Where I don't sound like an old woman screaming from the bottom of a well.
Sorry about that. I hope you're okay.
No, that's okay. But if I stop mid-sentence and sound like I'm having a seizure,
okay.
it's all good.
That's why. Okay. Okay. So let's see. There's a couple of you can be quite political at times because, gosh, I've known you for years, and I want to avoid politics at all costs because that's who I am. Anyway.
Yeah, no, and I would absolutely encourage other authors to avoid politics to the extent possible, because you're guaranteed to piss off at least half of your readers.
At least half, yeah, definitely. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm going to different screens here because I want to make sure that I'm getting everything going on. Okay.
Yeah, and if you'll send me another link, I'll be happy to post it on Facebook. The problem is that the other one, I sent you a message. It just reads, "This live broadcast has expired." So I'm not sure you want that one going up.
No, let's see. Hold on just a second. Let me see if I can grab it for you.
If you'll send me another link,
and now we've got a double. Sorry, I'm gonna have to close that and reopen it so that, and we're all, we're live, so. It's pretty, everyone just bear with me.
What I would suggest to you is you can always just post it onto my timeline.
I'm trying, hold on just a second. We're doing it live, it's okay.
In the meantime, I can, I'd sing, but I'm afraid my throat isn't up to it.
No.
Regale you with interesting stories.
You know what?
I just don't know any.
I came up with a list of questions because I know how you are. I've been on interviews with you in the past. And so these interview questions come from random questions from thejohnfox.com. If you've ever heard of him, apparently he's a big author, and I've not heard of him before. Here you are. Hold on just 1 second.
But again, I haven't heard of most people, so that doesn't mean anything.
And here's a question. It says, does writing energize or exhaust you?
Both, actually. I mean, obviously, I won't work on something unless I feel like I'm energized, but by the time I'm done, it's exhausting. In fact, by the time I'm done with a book and I've gone through second and third draft and sent it off to the editor, I never want to see it again.
Yeah, you go through a third draft?
Yeah, I'll do a third. Depends on the length of the book and how complicated the writing is.
Yeah, for Jet, you'll do that still? You know the characters so well.
I've just been doing 2 drafts on Jet ever since the first one because it's not, I mean, the prose is decent, but it's not, it wouldn't have improved for the third draft.
Right. No, I understand what you're saying. Yeah. No, that's a great question. That's a great answer, actually. Okay, so here's the second one. Does a big ego help or hurt writers?
Well, I think, I've been accused, and this will shock you, of being arrogant, and not just with in my writerly persona, but just in life. And I think you have to have self-confidence, and that can definitely tip over into the arrogant spectrum. Yeah. But I think as long as you don't mistake whatever gift you have or whatever skills you have as being better than others. In other words, I look at it being, for instance, being able to write, 5,000 to 10,000 words a day.
That's
I get a
amazing.
lot of authors saying, "How the hell do you manage to do that year after year?"
Right. That's what I'm thinking.
I tend to say, well, it's very much like, some people are born with the thumbs that, when they straighten their thumb, they're just double jointed. It bends way over and looks kind of weird. and they can do all kinds of tricks with their thumbs, but it's not because they're necessarily better. It's just because that's their genetics.
Right.
So they just have this ability that not everyone has. So I think if you're smart about this, and this is what I've learned as I've gone along, I've become far less arrogant the more I do this. And it's because I see the imperfections more clearly the longer that I do it.
Right.
So I become more increasingly convinced that I'm not very good the longer I continue, and I think that keeps you grounded.
No, that's,
it also keeps you trying to improve.
That's true. Yeah. I think that's a very good point. We get less confident as we've gone on. I mean, you've certainly put out a lot more books than I've put out. And that's true. You start second guessing yourself every time now. I don't know why.
Of course you do, because the more you know,
right.
The more possible ways you can take something. And if you don't want to get paralyzed by analysis and constant second guessing whether this really is the right way the right twist or the right place in the story to do whatever, or are my sentences too long or too short, or there's a million different questions you can ask. I think when you're just starting out and you don't really know much, you just kind of assume that what you're doing is brilliant,
right?
Because otherwise you wouldn't be doing it. And then over the years you learn just how far from brilliant what you're doing actually is.
No, that's very true. We have a couple of comments already. Let's see. Jax McGuinn says the series rocks, one of the best works. And I have to agree with him. It is really great. Donna Broussard says found you. And she was happy about that. Let's see. A lot of people have already shared it. Claude is a friend of both of ours. He says bonjour from Montreal.
Bonjour.
Bonjour.
That's we don't let him on the podcast.
No.
I think I did one podcast where he was part of a trifecta that just beat up on me for an hour.
That's no fair. That's not cool.
Yeah, he's just bitter and angry all the time.
Bitter and angry.
So am I, but I think I conceal it better.
No, I remember being the only female on one of these groups of like 10 guys during the Perseid.
Yeah,
I was like, nah,
touch that.
No. Okay, so Donna says, what age did you begin writing?
50.
You were 50.
I'm 50
I'm nowhere near 50.
When I published my first book.
Oh, okay. Way younger than me.
For years before that, but it was all crap, so I never published it.
Oh, see, yeah, okay. I've got another question for you. Let's see. What is your writing kryptonite?
My writing kryptonite. Yeah. I think fear and greed are the two.
Fear and greed? Greed?
Desperation is also in there somewhere in the mix. That's a good juicing cocktail.
I would think stress. Stress is one of mine.
Well, misery too.
Misery.
I've got quite a few big name author friends, and every single one that I've asked, hey, when you wrote your hit, were you happy or were you miserable? And they're all like, yeah, I was kind of miserable.
Yeah, I got some of those.
So maybe I'm just not miserable enough. That's why I haven't written like a huge hit.
Oh, see, there you go. You need to be as miserable as Hemingway, apparently.
That's my theory anyway.
Yeah, that works.
A funny thing about Hemingway, he was paranoid. I mean, obviously he was delusional.
He wasn't. I'll tell you why I know this. Yeah. So Hemingway, like at the very end, here's my cat Henry. You can't see this, Russell, but others can. And I want you to know I recently moved and Henry missed his connection in Detroit. Found him finally, scared me to death. But no, he's good. He does not like flying, neither do I. Okay. So back to the interview. So Hemingway, he was not paranoid, and here's why. Because he thought someone was following him for years.
No, you're telling the story I was going to tell, which is great.
Oh, I'm sorry. So yeah, I do know it. So towards the end, he was paranoid. He thought people were following him, and after his death, after he sadly ended his own life, he or someone, I don't know exactly who it was, but someone found out that he was actually being followed by the FBI.
Right. It was declassified, actually.
Right. Right. Okay. That's creepy as heck. Yeah.
Yeah. So just because you're paranoid doesn't mean that that somebody isn't after you. Is my point.
Yes. Yeah. Sadly, no one's following me as far as I know.
Well, either you're delusional or you're Pollyanna-ish about your delusion.
Probably.
Or you're not paranoid enough.
Right, exactly. Okay, so a couple of more questions from the fans. Let's see.
Sure.
Hardest part of research and info gathering for writing, says David Christopher.
What is the hardest part?
Yeah, what is the hardest part of research and info gathering for writing?
Well, the internet has made things a lot easier. In other words, I don't have to do a year worth of research in order to understand the characteristics of the locale and the various cuisines and what the place looks like. So that would be the easiest part. I think the hardest part is just not getting overwhelmed by minutia and wanting to prove to the reader that you did all this work.
Right, no info dumping.
It's very easy to kind of, when you spent 3-4 months researching something, to want to become an expert at it. And then once you feel like you're an expert, to want to convey that and put it on the page. Kind of, hey, look how smart I am.
Right,
so, I think that one of the hardest things about being a mature writer is to rein that in and only give the reader what they need in order to formulate the image you want to create in their mind.
No, I think they call that info dumping, and that's, and you just want to give them enough.
It's like you can just get so embroiled in the local color, like it doesn't have to be an info dump.
Yeah,
but you can just get overwhelming to the point where, what the hell does this have to do with anything?
Right, exactly.
And I try to avoid that. I mean, and my editor, thank God, is very good about, hacking away at my work and making sure I don't go overboard.
Yeah. Do you have a U.S. editor?
Yeah, she's actually traditionally published herself, and she's worked for a bunch of big fives.
Yeah, no, I recently went to Thriller Fest in New York and met a couple of wonderful editors, so I'm excited to use them.
Although, it depends on what you expect out of an editor too.
Right,
because
that's true.
Obviously there's developmental editors, and then there's line editors.
They are different animals. Yeah, they're different animals completely.
Yeah, completely. And, I don't really need developmental editing because I'm pretty thorough in my outlines, and I find developmental editing is better for people who have pantsed a story.
Right.
And they wind up with this thing on the page.
That's
and they
me.
aren't sure, they aren't sure where things should go or how it can be improved.
Right.
But if you're outlining and you're using, if you understand the points you want to make, where you want to make them in a story, you've already done that work up front.
Right. So you are a plotter.
Yeah, well, I've done it both ways. It's just that
you can. I've struggled with the plotting. I'm a total pantser, so.
Yeah, I mean, the difference is output.
Yeah, you can be quicker.
6 to 10 novels a year, and which equates to what, one every 5 or 6 weeks. You can't pants.
Exactly. No, I think it would be great to be able to plot and do that. It seems so much more efficient, but it for me, I just can't do it.
But what you do is you have to force yourself to do all of the thinking about the story before you put pen to paper.
Yeah, there's no force in me. I'm not that good. Anyway, so.
It's not a question of good. I find it's like anything else. It's just a discipline thing.
Okay.
It's like I hate, the outlining process, but I sort of resign myself to it.
Okay.
Because it's like, well, I need to get this done because otherwise, if I'm in LA and I want to head for New York, it helps if I've got a map.
That's true. Very true. Yeah.
I'm going to get there a lot faster if I have a map and I know the different routes and I can go, maybe I shouldn't go that way in advance. If I just, I know it's east and start driving, it's going to take me a lot longer. I may wind up in the same place, but I just don't have that kind of time.
No, I totally agree with you. Okay, so Alex.
Like I said, I've done it both ways, so I know from harsh experience.
Yeah. I should be more disciplined. I'm not. Alex Shaw, and I think he's in Dubai still. He says good evening, and he's an awesome writer. Let's see.
Yeah, Alex, yeah, I know him.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He's a great writer. Actually, he does a lot of good thrillers. He's got a new one out. He's doing crazy good.
Good for him.
Yeah. Let's see. Claude says, has Russell ever attended any writing conferences? I will say no, he has not.
Yeah, no, I don't attend conferences.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't see where the value would be other than rubbing shoulders and networking. And, I kind of hate people. So the networking part, that would do so well.
Yeah, no, I did.
If I just want to get drunk for 3 days, I can do that here. I don't know what
No, I mean, I did Thriller Fest in Manhattan, and you get to meet a lot of your buddies. I met a lot of them, and it's great to be able to sit around and have a drink with your buddies occasionally. But you do also learn a lot.
I would express that is, conferences are, if I were to go to conferences, it would be to meet people that are too cheap to fly to Cabo and hang out on the beach with me.
See, I think you should start the post-apocalyptic conference in Cabo. Why not?
Hey, you know what? Nobody's stopping anyone from doing it.
Yep, you should do that. I really think that's a good idea.
That would be a great place. When the lights go out in the U.S., there would be worse places to be.
Okay, so here's another question. What other authors are your friends, and how do they help you become a better writer?
Well, I mean, I'm not going to answer that because there's a lot of people who wouldn't want to admit that they even know me.
I know you.
Much less our friends.
God, I've known you for years. And I've asked you random questions occasionally.
Yeah, no. I mean, a lot of people. I mean, I guess a lot of people know that, I was hanging out with you, Howie.
Where is he in the world right now? Because, I mean...
He's in the South Pacific somewhere.
Somewhere.
He's my idol.
Is he?
No, absolutely. I mean, and look, if I could write a few books and live on a big boat, in the South Pacific, come on.
Exactly.
No, there's no part of that sounds like it sucks.
None of that's bad. None of that's bad. Unless hurricanes, just saying. So,
I mean, into every day a little rain must fly. But you know what? He could have, I think he's like, I want to say 100 miles away from where some volcano just blew up.
Probably. Actually, I've heard that's calmed down. I read that this morning, that it's calmed down quite a bit. Jack says, do you have any guest rooms, Russell?
Yeah, and in low season, the rent is cut by 35%. So.
There you go. Yeah. Michael Don Gibbons says, pandemic spreading at conferences and large crowds. There's something called the convention crud, and everyone gets it. I did not get it this year. Yay me. But I had a lot of traveling to do. I only go to Thriller Fest. There's like 3 or 4 major conferences, and that's the only one I go to.
I used to travel a lot, and you get onto a tube with recirculated air. Yeah. And your immune system's going to get slammed by just about everything. And conferences throw 10,000 people in a hall with recirculated air.
2,000 people who are not experienced, who don't travel a ton. Yeah, you throw them into one building with alcohol for 5 days. It's crazy. Yeah. So,
I mean, there's nothing wrong with conferences. I certainly, but also, I mean, hey, I'm all the way down here in Mexico.
You're living the life.
I have no reason to go back to the old country.
Yeah.
I don't, and I don't see. I think I've only been back to the U.S. once in the last 9 years.
Really?
Yeah. So, I don't feel like I'm missing anything, and
okay.
I just don't feel like, how would I benefit by going to a conference? I guess that would be the question.
Probably not at all. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. What other questions? If you could tell your younger writing self anything, what would it be?
Oh, I would say buy Tesla, even if it looks like it's a scam.
Really? But
sure. Then I wouldn't have to write. I would have just bought Tesla like 3 or 4 years ago, and I'd be rich.
Yeah, that's for sure. But do you enjoy the writing? I mean, do you enjoy it?
I do, but I go through. I've been sort of. I hit the wall about 3 months ago,
You did?
After I finished up Quantum Synapse, I started a new Ramses, and it just really didn't gel. It was like pulling teeth, so I stopped that about 3/4 of the way through.
Yeah.
And now I just started a new Jet. So this is the first time in the last 7 years,
Wow.
pardon me, I haven't been actively writing
Yeah.
every month.
And now, is it any? I'm not asking for personal information, but is it personal stress that has caused this in any
No,
way?
I think I just hit, with 60 novels out, I'm just much more careful about wanting to make sure I'm not just repeating myself.
No, that's good.
Maybe I'm just being harder on the work too. I'm just being pickier.
Yeah.
But I just wasn't pleased with the direction that this book was going.
Yeah.
And I figured, hey, you know what? You've written. It's not like there's a shortage of Russell Blake books out there.
No,
for
you're
people to
doing
buy
amazing.
if they're so inclined.
Right.
So, I took a month and a half off, and I read some craft books. I watched too many. I watched a whole bunch of stuff on YouTube. I kind of caught up on pop culture and just sort of immersed myself in the whole media thing.
Yeah.
Because when you're writing all the time, you're kind of writing all the time.
Yep. I do a lot of reading of science journals. I don't know why that seems to help me kind of pick up on things or come up with new ideas.
And it's not that I honestly, I have at least 20 books that I want to write. I 20 concepts. So it's not that I don't have the ideas I want to write. I think I just wasn't happy with the execution. And I was probably just a little bit burned out from, this output, this consistent output. So I decided to, kind of take the summer off and recharge my batteries, which has been great. I started a new Jet, and that's flowing very easily, and I'm back to where I'm enjoying writing. But, when you do it like I do, where it's, content generation, it's not following my muse. You're writing even when you don't want to.
Yeah, no, I get it. You have to do it.
And although I will say I started advertising now, and I want to say my sales have increased by about 40% just since I started advertising. So that takes a lot of pressure off in terms of I need to get another book out every 6 to 8 weeks. Otherwise, everyone's going to forget who I am.
Right. No, I totally get that. So advertising is huge, and it has to be done, but it can also take up a ton of your time. It
does.
Yeah. Kim Creswell, she says, have you ever thought about writing children's books featuring your dogs? I know you have beloved dogs.
Yeah, I do. I love animals. I'm probably the wrong guy to Daddy Drinks Because You Cry wouldn't be a popular book with a kitty. So I'm probably not the right guy to be writing children's books.
Oh.
Some would argue I'm not the right guy to be writing adult books either, but that's a different argument.
Nah, I don't think so. Let's see. I've got other questions for you. So what was the best money you ever spent as a writer?
Best money I ever spent as a writer?
Yeah.
That is an excellent question.
Well, I can't take credit.
Honestly,
I have to say.
I would have to say the best money I've ever spent as a writer are probably in order. Professional covers. Professional editing.
Yes. And
advertising.
Yep. Yeah. All those three. Yeah. So besides writing stuff, did you ever?
Oh, and the treadmill desk.
You have a treadmill desk.
Yeah, no, the treadmill desk is absolutely the best money I ever spent.
Wow. So Stephen Conkley started that years and years ago. I seem to remember.
Well, I was ahead of him.
Were you really?
Yeah.
Cool.
CJ Lyons told me, I want to say a year into this, said, hey, I've been using a treadmill desk. It's the best thing ever. You need to get one.
Now I need one.
So I shelled out the $1,600 or $1,800, whatever it was, and I never looked back. I swear by the thing.
So you write
5 miles a day.
Wow.
I lost 20-something pounds since I got it, and I kept it off for 6 years. So.
Wow, I've got to do that now. That's fantastic.
No, it's amazing. I would, because if look.
The sitting is a problem.
It's a sedentary pursuit.
Right. I typically will run at around 3 o'clock. I've got to get out and do something, right? So I go to yoga or I run.
Sure.
And, but yeah, during the day, it drives me crazy. You've got to get up and move around.
Is that a cat yowling in the back?
Yes, I'm sorry. This is Henry, my cat. And he will.
I was going to say, I thought, am I hearing things?
No, he's my buddy. He's my buddy.
Okay. He's got a lovely singing voice.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes, he does. So, what is your favorite underappreciated novel? Your most favorite?
Underappreciated novel?
Uh-huh.
Boy, they're all underappreciated. But,
so it can be one that you've written or one that someone else has written.
Boy.
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
I've got to, I'll stick with my own simply because otherwise I'll just be spending the next, 20 minutes trying to remember all the underappreciated novels I've read. I would say probably my most underappreciated novel is Upon a Pale Horse.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, because it got really no coverage whatsoever. I mean, because it's not really part of a series, and readers seem to favor books that are in a series. But
they do,
between that and probably Geronimo Breach is another one. I love Geronimo Breach. And probably, I know Black has a big following, but it seems like Black just never caught fire. And I love Black. In fact, somebody contacted me the other day and said, out of all your books that you have on audiobooks, which one would you, if I only had to listen to one, which one would you recommend? I was like, I wouldn't even I didn't even hesitate. I was Black.
Yeah, mine is The French Wardrobe. It was a one standalone book. It's a mystery thriller about a widow, and I feel the same way. I think it's a good book. But it's not a part of a series.
Is that the market is what the market is, and if you're not a traditionally published author, putting out a single book that isn't in a series, boy, you got your work cut out for you.
Yep. No, I agree. I found that out myself as well. So, okay. So we have some more reader questions. Graylin Hobbs says, what advice do you have for authors' books that are or seem to be disjointed?
That seem to be what?
Disjointed. So I guess what I could say is that if you have an audio book connected to this book, there's not much you can do. You can change the covers, but you can't really do much else you can't take it down and change the cover and rewrite it. And if you've gone past the point of making an audio book, you're kind of sunk.
Yeah, you're screwed unless you want to spend a lot of money editing the audiobook and having the guy
redo it and everything.
The narrator reread it.
Right. So I guess that's my only answer here. Let's see. Skipping back and forth, that makes it hard to follow. Oh, she just means like if you've got a book that skips back and forth and it makes it hard to follow, then okay. Sorry, Graylin.
I guess the question is to whom?
Right. Yeah, I don't know.
Jed reads like that. I got a couple of reviews, back in the early days that said, it jumps around from present day to flashbacks, etc. I found that hard to follow.
Yeah.
And, as an author, I'm not supposed to go online and say, well, I'm sorry, you're stupid. That's not, it's just not, it's sort of frowned upon. But by the flip side of it, over 1 million people have read that book. And if only 3 people were confused by, past tense and now present day, well, maybe it's not all that confusing.
Yeah. No, I get it. Let's see.
So to whom? I guess that would be having said that, I don't do too many flashbacks anymore. Because as I've gotten better at this, I've just sort of realized that, it pulls anything that pulls the reader out of the story isn't good.
But sometimes flashbacks are necessary. I agree.
Yeah. And they can be done in the intro. It doesn't mean it has to be ham-fisted.
Right.
You can do them. In A.G. Riddle's first book, he's got, probably 35,000 words of flashback as reading a diary. So there's a lot of ways to do it. It doesn't have to be done in a confusing manner.
Yep. No, I agree. Yeah, totally. Okay, so as a writer, and I know the answer to this for you. So as a writer, what would you choose as your spirit animal?
My spirit animal?
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to figure out probably a crow.
No, you can't choose crow.
Tend to, well, Cuervo, Jose Cuervo. Cuervo means crow.
You can't say that. No, that's not the answer.
No.
There were a couple of years ago, you had a great answer for this, and I thought I totally knew the answer to this.
I should have written it down.
Panda.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, so it was panda. Sorry, I'm making, I'm
okay. Yeah. Well, see, that's the problem with lying for a living.
Yeah,
your memory never keeps up with all the lies. So.
I don't know why that stuck in my head, but during the Perseid collapse, we kept talking about pandas.
Pandas are marvelous creatures. They don't get
they?
nearly enough respect.
No, I agree. Poor guys. Yeah.
And they're also sedentary.
They are. They're quite.
And they seem to serve no useful purpose other than to make other pandas. So.
Right, and it's like herding cats when you have a bunch of little ones, just like writers. Like we all go off on our own things. I can't imagine being a caretaker of pandas. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Okay, so
I keep waiting for. Well, I shouldn't even go down this road.
No, go ahead.
Question.
No,
I just had a completely.
No, now you have to go.
And I was going to express it, and then I realized, thank God, that this is live.
You can say it.
I probably should, for the first time in my life, try using a filter. So
there you go. Okay, I will go with that then. So, how do you select the names of your characters?
Just first thing that pops into my head.
Really? Yeah. So sometimes I'll research certain things. Here's the kitty. Well, no, there's specific characters. So I have a new series coming out, and I needed a really strong female character, and I named her Dane Talbot.
Okay.
And that's just like Jet. Jet is a very strong female name, right?
But that just popped into my head. I was on a hike,
really?
and it just popped into my head. And the cover popped into my head, which I never actually used. It was going to be a black cover with Jet kind of in red metal foil and some sort of Asian characters, kanji script or something. I mean, it just popped into my head fully formed.
Oh, okay. So sometimes they just come to you, totally.
Yeah, no, it comes to me usually. Some drink, alcohol is probably involved.
Yeah.
I said, ideas are a dime a dozen. I got a million of them.
Okay. I thought that was good for a minute or two. That's pretty funny. Let's see. There's comments about my cat. Ross Elder says Henry wants his own show. Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime you put a cat on a show, that's going to be the star of the show.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. And he missed his connection in Detroit, which is hilarious. So
nobody wants to be stuck in Detroit, even cats.
Right? The poor guy. They call me at
myriad readers in Detroit.
Right? They call me at 2 a.m, something like that, and say, your cat has missed his flight in Detroit. And I'm like, what? Where is he?
Drinking again?
Yeah, was he drinking? Lollygagging on his way to the next connection.
I told him.
Damn it.
Put the bottle down.
Right? God, it was funny. Graylin Hobbs says, Russell, you and I have spoken many times. Can you comment on the experience of writing with Clive Cussler? Yes, that's huge.
Yeah, no, it was a huge thrill because I grew up reading his books. So let's start there. And
right.
He's probably one of the most famous authors on the planet.
Yes. And really tall. He's really tall.
Yeah, and meeting him and hanging out with him and hearing his stories and sort of developing story ideas with him. It was just, there was no part of it that wasn't, memorable and great. And, I have to kind of pinch myself that I got the opportunity to write a couple of novels with him. I mean, it's a pretty short list of people that get to write not one, but 2 novels with one of their all-time heroes.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. How cool is that? Is he just really easy? This past month, I met Lee Child, and he's funny as heck.
Yeah, I hear he's a great guy.
Yeah, he is a good guy. And then George R.R. Martin, he's a quiet fella. But so Clive Cussler, he seems like he would be more personable.
Yeah, he's very, he's lived an incredible life. So, he's got a real zest for adventure and exploration and architecture and archaeology. So, he's sort of a Renaissance man.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, he used to bike across the United States.
Did he really? Wow.
Oh, yeah.
He was in the military.
The man's lived a life.
Wow.
And he's almost 90 now.
Yeah.
So,
he's a legend.
He's almost 90 years old now. He's got to be like 88, I want to say, 87, 88.
Yeah, he's something like that.
I have a feeling when he's going to his grave, he's not going to feel like he was cheated out of any experiences. Let me put it that way.
No, I agree. Yeah. How cool, though, that you actually got
great.
to.
I mean, what
an experience.
A life well lived.
Yeah. No kidding. And that's what we all strive for, really. But few of us actually achieve that,
Yeah, well, I just want, Coke and hookers, but a life well lived, sure, that'd be fine too, I guess.
No. Okay. Graylin says, any plans for the Oregon Files with Clive? Any more plans?
Well, I didn't write the Oregon Files, so no, it really hasn't come up.
Okay.
I did the Fargo series.
The Fargo series?
Yeah.
I remember seeing your book at an airport where I was like wandering around for some reason with Clive Cussler. Yeah. I thought, wow,
which one, The Eye of Heaven or Solomon Curse?
Solomon Curse.
Yeah, that was one of the Fargos.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, now Robin is writing that. She's a very gifted female author who, brings more of the female touch to it's a couples, it's kind of like Heart to Heart, the old TV show.
Yeah.
But as adventures, so it's probably better written from a female perspective anyway. So she's doing a marvelous job with it, and everyone's happy. So life is good.
You know what I found interesting, or something, Murder Mysteries with Angela Lansbury? I'm probably saying it wrong. You know what I'm talking about? Do you know who writes that now?
No.
John Land, a male.
Really?
Yeah. Do you know who that is? John Land?
Yeah.
So, I mean, he writes those series now. So it's males and females can totally jump into these different roles. It's you can do these things. Like I write most of my male characters. Most people would never know that. So it's good.
Yeah, and I think the way it's just turned out is that I want to say most of my novels have a female protagonist.
That's right. You do this really well. I wrote mostly males, and that works out fine for me. But you do the female parts, and you do it well.
Well, spoken as a female, I will take your word for it.
There you go. Yeah. So Graylin says Solomon Curse was great. And let's see, Michael Don Gibbons says, what past books or authors influence you to start writing?
I read all of the usual suspects when I was growing up. Ludlum, Cussler, Le Carre, Follett, and I certainly John Grisham. His first novel was amazing. A Time to Kill is still one of the best. Tom Harris. I want to say that Silence of the Lambs is structurally one of the best books ever written.
Really? I wouldn't know that. I've not read it.
I think that's what I read, and that inspired me to when I sat down and started writing, I sort of just did really bad knockoffs of the stuff I really liked. And then which thankfully I never published. Pardon me. And then when I got good enough to where I felt like, okay, maybe I could make a couple of shekels, putting this on the shelf.
Yeah.
I developed enough of my own voice, so I didn't feel like I was knocking off other people's stuff. But I think all authors imitate. So I've read probably 3,000 books by now. So
I don't know that it's imitation, though. Don't you agree? So, like, every single storyline can be traced back to a Shakespeare's show or novel.
Well, and all the archetypes. I mean, the hero's journey.
Yes.
There's really no new ideas. The challenge is really in saying the familiar in a exciting new way, in an innovative way.
Right.
In a way that's surprising and delighting to the reader.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're just regurgitating stuff that's probably been done far better than you'll ever want to or be able to.
No, I agree. Yeah. So I have to say, I don't think it's so much imitation of someone else as that we are telling a story that is, in your own flavor,
Yeah, but we all start out, I mean, let's be honest, we all start out like when you first start writing, of course you're going to be imitating other people because you're like a toddler. You don't know what you're doing yet. So of course you're going to imitate the people around you until you develop the strength to stand up on your own.
No, that's true.
And you've got some experience and maybe hopefully you've learned some stuff about craft and story structure, et cetera, et cetera. And then you can branch out and start to be original. But until then, steal from the best.
Yep, probably. Okay, so let's see. If you didn't write, what would you do for work if you were not a writer?
I mean, I have a design and build company in Cabo. I mean, I build, I design, really beautiful and massive vacation homes for people.
I did not know that.
Oh yeah, no, I probably built 20 homes in the Cabo area, and I've designed over 100 of them. So
well, why haven't you started the Post-Apoc Conference?
Creative pursuit that I really enjoy doing.
That's cool. You should make a hotel and a conference center for all of the post-apocalyptic people. We should all go down.
Nice.
Yep.
Well, yeah, none of the homes
free alcohol
big enough to host like 1,000 people, but
yeah, you should do that.
But no, anything, my entire life has been filled with, two different types of pursuits that were all about money, where I didn't really like what I was doing, but I could make lots of money doing it.
Yeah.
And pursuits where I was involved in creative functions that really juiced me and got the creative part of my brain going. And I always loved doing those, but the problem is that trying to figure out a way to make them pay well was the hard part.
Yeah, no, I get it. Okay,
so architecture, I taught myself architecture, and I'm pretty good at it now. I'm working with some of the top names in the business.
I never knew this about you, and I've known you for years, so I didn't know this. Yeah, it's cool to know. I have a cousin that lives down there.
Job.
Yeah, okay, that's your other job. So if you weren't a writer, that's what you would be doing.
Yeah,
okay.
I'd be designing homes, which I still do to this day. Not nearly as many, but I still probably design 3 to 5 homes a year.
Oh wow, that's very cool. Okay, so what was you're obviously a wonderful a reader as well, and you've read quite a lot. So what was your favorite childhood book?
Childhood book?
Yeah, so childhood, not just.
I read a lot of Lovecraft. I hate to admit that. When I was probably 9, I would devour Lovecraft, and I read everything he ever did. I read a lot of Poe. So I was reading some pretty dark, twisted shit, which probably explains a lot.
Oh, same. Stephen King as a 3rd grader. Yeah, that's probably not cool.
Yeah. Well, I'm a little older than you, so I don't think King was really churning stuff out when I was that young. But
So what about young child? What was your favorite 8-year-old boy story?
That's what I was reading.
No, no way.
I didn't. My parents weren't very. They weren't spending a lot of time, making, acting as gatekeepers for what my reading material was. By the time I was 10, I was reading, nothing but adult books. I mean, so
what about
I started with stuff like, obviously the Hardy Boys and stuff like that, but within, I went straight to Lovecraft after that.
Wow.
In fact, I remember I horrified, I want to say my 3rd grade or 4th grade teacher by doing a really bad knockoff of a Lovecraft short story. So when they said, it's short story day, we're going to try to write that. And people were like, my kitty cat is fluffy. I love my kitty cat. And I wrote something called Pigeons from Hell about demonic pigeons that attack and shred, a group of children to pieces.
Yikes. That's pretty funny.
No, and it's gone downhill from there.
Yep, pretty much. Yep. Let's see. Graylin says Sam and Remy making another appearance soon.
Who?
Sam and Remy.
Sam and Remy. Well, Sam and Remy are Clive's creation.
Oh, okay.
That's
okay.
And yes,
so that would
they have. I don't know he usually releases in September, October of every year. So pretty much like clockwork.
Okay.
I'm sure that there's been another one.
Okay, and let's see. Michael Don Gibbons says he says Mac Bolan at 11 years old. That's what he was reading apparently. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Where the Wild Things Were or Are, Where the Wild Things Are, which was a huge favorite of mine as a child.
Yeah, no, I was probably reading Penthouse Letters to the Editor or something when I was 10. So no, it's
terrible. You're terrible.
Well, yeah.
Okay, gosh, it's been an hour already. Can you believe that?
Well, I can, judging by the fever I'm running.
Oh, I'm so sorry you're not feeling well.
Look, I committed to doing this, and yeah, I've written whole novels with a broken hand, so this is nothing.
Hey, I ran on a broken foot in basic training in the Air Force.
Really?
I did. Yep, I had 3 fractured toes. So there you go. We do what we have to do.
Try typing 3/4 of a book like with only your left hand.
No.
Yeah.
I would no.
That one took a little longer. Which one was that? I think that was Jet. That was like one of the prequels. I think it was Jet Ops Files.
How did you break?
That was a one-handed book.
How did you break your hand?
I had an accident where I was wearing a big watch, like, probably a 48 or 50 millimeter watch.
Okay.
And I landed in just the wrong way. I hit it in my hand against it. It bent it backwards and snapped the metacarpals against the crown of the watch.
Oh my gosh.
And it acted exactly like if you took a hammer and just slammed it against the top of your hand.
Oh, wow. I'm so sorry.
Well, 2 of them. And what's funny is the doctor that I saw, the orthopedic surgeon, showed me his hand and said, yep, big watches did the same thing. And he had a big lump where he had broken his hand in the same way.
Wow. See, you'll have to use that.
Big watches anymore.
Oh, okay. You'll have to use that in the story, though.
Yeah, it's a little too pedestrian, but yeah.
Hey, these things, these odd things we can always use. These are experiences
God knows, if I kept every pedestrian idea out of my novels, I wouldn't write any. So
see, yeah. Okay, so let's see. I always try to do something on this show that how do readers help authors? Do you have any hints or tips?
How do readers help authors?
Yeah, besides reviews, how can we help them? Or how can they help us?
Reviews are the single most important thing.
It really is. So
they really are. Good reviews. Bad reviews don't really help. I don't read my reviews, but
I don't really either. Not anymore. I used to be obsessive about them, but I might read them every now and then.
I did for the first 6 months, and then I realized that I was kind of on the right track, and there was going to always be people that hated my stuff, and there were going to be people that loved it.
Right.
So I didn't see what I was getting. It just seemed unhealthy.
Yeah.
It almost was like, I don't know, it felt like being a peeping Tom or something. So
it kind of is. You just have to walk away, right?
Ever since.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, maybe.
Like, is BookBub someplace that you think writers should go to say, hey, follow us on BookBub, or are there any other platforms that you think are cool?
I'm just terrible at that stuff. I'm the wrong guy to ask about author marketing. I mean, I'm so late to the party on advertising. I feel like everybody else in the world knows all the stuff that I just learned in the last couple of months.
Okay.
So,
okay.
I encourage people to sign up for my mailing list, to go to my blog. But beyond that, I think just keep buying the books if they look like they're engaging, and don't feel bad about returning them if they suck.
Don't say that. Shh.
Well, no, I mean,
they don't need to know that.
No,
they don't need to know that. No.
Well, I've had people return books and say,
so we've all had that.
Great, return it.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, I also have people that are like, the last 13 books of yours that I bought, I hated. And, you'll see that every single one, gets returned after 2 weeks. There's always, and then this one lady's review always comes in. It's about time to end this. It's horrible, blah, blah, blah.
Right. After the 13th book. Yeah, the 13th book. It does, exactly. And Henry's attacking my curtains now. So where can people find your stuff?
Well, you can go to Amazon. You can find me on Facebook, although I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to be on Facebook at russell.blake.books.
And why?
Putting in Russell Blake.
Why are you getting off of Facebook?
I've been, since taking a couple of months off, I'm not sure, and it's not just Facebook, but I'm not sure that the whole dopamine-induced, immediate
gratification,
monkey stabbing at a screen, 1,000 times a day thing is necessarily that good for humanity, or your own sanity.
No,
and
I agree.
I think it shortens your ability. I think social media is valuable, in terms of feeling a sense of engagement with other people, but it's not really a very good substitute for real life, and it's being more and more used as a substitute for real life.
I think you're right on with that.
Pretty quickly.
Yeah, you're right on with that. I agree. And then, I don't know, I've done the same thing where I've really pulled back. I've got a lot going on, but people, they'll text or email me and say, where have you been? They just want to make sure you're okay. And that's okay. That's great.
Which is fine. I'm not saying everybody else should do the same thing. I'm just saying for my own productivity standpoint and just ideologically, philosophically, I don't think that experiencing life through a screen is really how I want to go through life.
It's not healthy. No, I agree. I totally agree. And I worry about this next generation.
Well, I think you're already seeing it in increased suicide rates and depression rates and everything else.
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
Because think about it, as a brain is developing and neural networks are being formed, if you're constantly, if you're assimilating the world through 1 to 4 sentence bites of information, and you're constantly glued to a screen for either validation or to be contentious with other people or to seem like you're part of the club, your neural networks are going to develop in a completely different manner than, say, if you're reading novels.
No, that's very true.
Long form, nonfiction.
Yeah, I think that's actually a basis for a great novel or a series. Because it really is, if you think about it.
Throw that on the pile.
Yeah, you'll have to. Because
I think it wouldn't be bad. Yeah, you could have a future where everybody is, it's kind of like Clockwork Orange, isn't it?
It really is. Yeah.
Except instead of classical music, you have machine created synth pop that's, all written by the same 3 Scandinavian 50-year-olds. and you've got a society that basically knee-jerk reacts to whatever they're told is today's outrage. I'm not sure that's a healthy way to go through life.
No, there's something called people pleasers, and in dysfunctional group relationships, there's something called oh gosh darn it, I can't think of it right this second. It's called you have people pleasers, and then you have injustice collectors. Okay. And I really think that if you spend most of your time online, a lot of people become these injustice collectors. And their sole mission is about, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this. I mean, they have no life really. It's right. It's always
the sad part about that is,
it's sad.
I'm 57 now. And I think that's old enough to sort of see how fast life goes by,
right? Yeah.
And how precious, every day is. So if you're spending most of it glued to a screen and not experiencing the world, you're living in a matrix. And the folks that basically are creating the content that you are willingly subjecting yourself to don't necessarily have your best interest at heart.
That's very true. Yeah, no, I agree. Okay, so we have Sean Clay says a suggestion is to support authors by going to book signings if nearby. He drove 3 hours one Saturday, and the only person wanted one book signed. It was an honor to be invited out to a place, which I don't know.
Well, I don't do book signing, so
I don't
sure,
anymore.
maybe.
But yeah, that's okay,
That
buddy.
would support me. Just
Yeah.
Again, coke and hookers require money, so
Okay.
just send me money.
And Michael Don Gibbons says people are losing their social skills, as like we used to do as children. We learn social skills by interacting, and people don't do that anymore. And that's very true.
Well, and the sad part is that people are also refining and learning skills that aren't useful in the real world. Like
That's
being
true.
a complete asshat
Yep.
is not necessarily a recipe for success or getting along with other people.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
And surrounding yourself with a bunch of yes men, with an echo chamber of like minds who believe everything that you do, that's called a cult in the real world.
Right.
It's not healthy behavior.
Yeah.
It's just like, why you don't want to, have sex with your sister. It's just from a genetic standpoint. It's just not a good idea.
Right.
It weakens the species. So I've just over time kind of come to the conclusion that a lot of social media is nothing. There's just nothing good in it for most people.
Yeah.
They're being herded and controlled and indoctrinated. They're being directed, inculcated with a lot of just nonsense and a lot of habits that aren't helpful for them as human beings evolving into reasonable people.
I think the one redeeming factor, though, is that you are able to connect with people around the world. I would never have met you or talked to you, tonight.
No, that part is awesome.
That's the one thing.
Part.
Yeah, that's the cool
That's
thing.
the seductive
It
part,
is.
Feeling a fellowship and being able to connect with people all over the world, and also to have instant access to massive amounts of information. For research, that's incredible.
That's very true. Although I still love going to my locations. Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's no substitute for that.
Right, definitely.
But,
yeah.
If you're doing if you're researching, for instance, the pyramids, you can you
can't
can
go
do
there.
what would have taken 3 years worth of research in a month online.
Right. Very true. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the good part. But the bad part is that it's being used as a societal sort of indoctrination tool. And I just don't see that as positive. But that's just me. Maybe I'm completely wrong.
I think we kind of learned that through the latest congressional hearings. I think that's true.
Well, and you can just look, Facebook, YouTube, a bunch of others today, or in the last 24 hours have shut down, content for really politically motivated reasons.
Oh.
So, these mega corporations, which are really just propaganda arms for the government after a certain point, because they all have government contracts, and most of them got government money. Like the CIA has a venture capital fund. Most people don't know that. They have a venture capital fund, and that venture capital fund has funded people like Google, people like Facebook, people like, because they understand that if you control the information, you control the dialogue. And if you control the dialogue, you can then control the outcome of the dialogue. Yep. So I just think putting yourself in the hands of folks who don't have your best interest at heart is a really bad idea.
No, I agree. Yeah, definitely.
And that's not political. That's just
it's not. It's not.
Like, I don't want to live in 1984. I lived through 1984 once. It was awesome, by the way. But
I was there. Yeah, I was there.
The literary 1984.
Right.
I just don't want to live in that world.
Oh gosh, no. It was that literary. Yeah, I read it. It was scary.
It's chilling. Go back and reread it now and just contrast it to how.
Oh no, I've read it recently. I read it recently. Within the last year, I read it, and it is very scary. Yeah, one of the you were such a great writer, and one of the lines that you wrote recently was rule number 1 of, and it has something to do with what we're talking about. So rule number 1 of successful engagement: always avoid a fair fight. That's something that you wrote in this novel. And it's also a rule in, what is it, the Rules of War.
Oh, okay.
It is.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, it's similar to one of the rules in the Rules of War. And but that's also, it kind of applies to what we're talking about tonight politically, if you think about it.
The problem is that I mean, one of the real problems, I live in Mexico, so my interest in U.S. politics is basically the same as my interest in, for instance, Brexit or in European politics. It's as an outsider with his nose pressed up against the glass. So, I'm just fascinated how it seems like, at least on social media, it's impossible to have a discussion that isn't viewed through a political lens. And that's something completely new to me.
Yeah.
That just didn't happen in discourse, say, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. It wasn't, it just, everything wasn't, oh, you're a conservative, or oh, you're a liberal, or oh, I mean, there weren't these labels, and people weren't encouraged to view things through a prism of, everything's politicized. But now it seems like it's impossible to have any reasonable discussion without taking a fringe view at either the far right or the far left.
I don't know. I stand on the side. I stand. I think it's a choice. I stand on the side. I don't claim any political party, and I watch and see how other people act. But I'm an author. You're an author, so we kind of observe society, and that's what I do, and I try my best not to engage in it.
No, I'm not saying engage or don't engage. I'm just saying it's fascinating to me that people have been inculcated that,
right. No, I agree.
This is normal. This is how you should view the world, through this particular lens. Out of all other lenses you could use, that this is the lens you should use. And it seems like, I'd say, 80 to 90% of the stuff that I read on Facebook, that
it's very political.
Through a political lens.
No, it really is. Yeah, I don't either. It drives me crazy, and I do stay off quite a lot because of that.
So I think it's driving a lot of people away, and then what you're left with is a very vocal minority.
Right. A very vocal, right, exactly. It's those vocal few that kind of dominate things,
Right, which, hey, they're welcome to it, is my point.
Yeah, no, I agree. I totally agree. So Michael says the zombie generation is upon us. And then Graylin says the only good part of social media is keeping up with distant relatives. Sure. As I say, and you and I would have never met, wouldn't have changed that for the world. So yeah, we agree that there's some wonderful things about social media, but there are some horrible things about social media at the same time.
And I'm not saying social media bad, I'll never do it, blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying that I think that if you're spending, me personally, if I'm spending more than 5 to 10% of my available leisure time online, I'm doing something I don't want to do. In other words, I don't view that as being positive. Right,
and we used to, in the early 90s and 80s, we didn't have this, and we worked and we survived just fine,
you actually had to go to a bar and buy someone a drink if you wanted to
socialize,
have a little hanky-panky. You didn't go, you didn't swipe left or right and go, ooh, okay. I mean, there was no Tinder.
Yeah, that's true. So Jeff Holt says, your thoughts on corporate oligarchs? I think it logged me out, or it might have. I'm sorry. Anyway, we should end.
Yeah, we should.
And
my throat's gone, so.
Thank you, everyone. It was wonderful. And thank you, Russell Blake, for coming on. And it's been a great discussion. We just went way over.
Well, thank you for having me on. And I'm sorry I'm not, at 100%. But
oh, no, I'm so